There's a somber and urgent update out of the Pacific Northwest today. Oregon's governor has ordered flags lowered statewide in honor of a firefighter who lost his life battling one of these blazes. The Grasshopper Fire near Mount Hood has now destroyed homes for the first time, growing to more than 83,000 acres and forcing new evacuations around the town of Dufur. A popular ski resort has shut down entirely because of the fire, and a brand new fire near Springfield forced evacuations of its own this week. I'm going to walk you through everything new since our last update, the confirmed losses, the new evacuations, and a moment of remembrance for a fallen firefighter. Let's get into it. Before we get into the fire numbers, there's something important to share first. Governor Tina Kotek has ordered flags lowered across Oregon this Friday in honor of 47-year-old Jason Ensign, who died on August 6th while helping fight the Wright Spring Fire in Klamath County. New details have emerged about how he died. Ensign was a contractor with Green Diamond Resource Company, and he was operating a dozer to help fire crews establish containment lines when a sudden, rapid wind change trapped him behind the flames. On behalf of all Oregonians, I extend my deepest condolences to Jason Ensign's family, loved ones, and colleagues, Governor Kotek said in a statement. It's a genuinely painful reminder of just how dangerous this work is, especially on fires like Wright Spring that have been producing this kind of sudden, extreme fire behavior throughout the entire incident. Flags will fly at half-staff at all state buildings and grounds this Friday as a mark of respect, and fire officials across the region have echoed the governor's message, noting that Ensign's death has weighed heavily on crews still actively working both the Wright Spring Fire and other incidents across the state. Now to the most urgent fire story of this update. The Grasshopper Fire near Mount Hood has grown to more than 83,600 acres and remains at 20% containment, with officials saying the fire is still active along its northeastern and eastern perimeter. For the first time, we have a confirmed structure loss count. The Wasco County Sheriff's Office says 6 homes and 15 outbuildings have been destroyed by this fire. This fire has grown rapidly over the last several days by about 15,000 acres in roughly the last 24 hours alone, and that growth is what's driving today's new evacuation orders. The town of Dufur is now under a Level 2 BSET evacuation order, and all surrounding areas west of Highway 197 have been placed under a Level 3 Go Now order. This is a serious escalation from where things stood just a day or two ago, and it reflects how unpredictable this fire's behavior has continued to be, with strong winds pushing it aggressively to the northeast. Fire behavior specialists say the combination of steep terrain, heavy timber, and shifting wind direction has made this one of the more difficult fires to model and predict in the entire region this season, with long-range spotting continuing to throw embers well ahead of the main fire line. There's also been a real impact on the surrounding community beyond the direct fire threat. Mount Hood Meadows has now shut down entirely because of the fire, and the Wasco County Fair has also been closed, a real blow to a community event many local families look forward to every summer. Highway 35 has been closed again, this time on the stretch east of Government Camp, adding yet another detour for anyone trying to travel through the area, on top of the closures we already told you about last time. Given how quickly evacuation zones have been changing, Wasco County continues urging residents to check their specific address on the county's perimeter map rather than assume yesterday's information is still accurate. The Wright Spring Fire in Klamath County remains one of the most stubborn fires in the entire region. Crews are still focused on containing the fire's boundaries and protecting small communities in the area, along with keeping flames away from fuel storage sites, according to Operating Section Chief Ben Curtis. Ranch structures were damaged on the fire's eastern flank earlier this week, and officials have continued warning that additional structures and agricultural land remain at risk as the fire keeps pushing forward. This fire is also somewhat boxed in geographically by irrigated pastures and valleys to its east and west, but fire behavior analysts note there's still tens of thousands of acres of contiguous timber available to it before it would reach Highway 140 to the southeast, meaning there's still plenty of room for this fire to keep growing if conditions don't shift. Emergency shelters remain open in Chiloquin and Bonanza, and the Klamath County Fairgrounds continues offering shelter space for large livestock displaced by the fire, a detail that's mattered a great deal in this heavily agricultural part of Oregon. This remains by a wide margin the fire with the highest human cost of the season, and Klamath County's local state of emergency, along with National Guard support for evacuations and traffic control, remains firmly in effect as crews continue working to gain any real containment on this fire. There's also a brand new fire we haven't covered before. A wildfire broke out southeast of Springfield in Lane County this week, prompting the Lane County Sheriff's Office to issue evacuation orders for homes north of the intersection of Mount Vernon and Jasper Roads, along Ivy Street, Pinehurst, 54th, 55th, and Holly Street. Mount Vernon and 57th Street were closed to all traffic in that area while crews worked to get ahead of the fire. The good news here, county officials say the fire is now under control, which is a genuinely encouraging outcome given how quickly it forced evacuations in a populated area. It's also a reminder that new fire starts are still happening across the state, even as attention remains focused on the larger, ongoing incidents like Grasshopper and Wrights Spring. Zooming out, Oregon's wildfire numbers keep climbing. As of Wednesday morning, the state's Department of Emergency Management reported 63 active fires burning across Oregon, with a combined 1.95 million acres burned statewide, approaching the 2 million acre mark with weeks of peak season still remaining. Combined with Washington, wildfires across both states have now burned more than 3 million acres total, and that combined figure keeps climbing as fires like Grasshopper continue their aggressive growth. Air quality remains a serious concern, too. Oregon's Department of Environmental Quality issued a fresh air quality advisory this week, covering multiple counties in both Oregon and Washington because of ongoing wildfire smoke, and skies east of the Cascades have now been smoke-choked for weeks straight, with the National Weather Service warning that air quality will remain poor until further notice in some communities. The Northwest Interagency Coordination Center has continued warning that essentially all of Oregon and much of Washington remain under an active fuel and fire behavior advisory, meaning the risk of additional large fire starts remains high across the region. With more than a dozen fires still actively burning just in Oregon alone, and firefighting resources already stretched thin supporting incidents like Grasshopper and Wright Spring, officials say any new ignition right now carries an elevated risk of growing quickly before crews can get ahead of it. If you're anywhere near Dufur, the area west of Highway 197, or anywhere close to Mount Hood, check your specific address on the Wasco County perimeter map right now. Evacuation zones have shifted multiple times just this week, and relying on outdated information near a fire moving this fast is genuinely dangerous. More broadly, across both states, know your evacuation level and take it seriously. Level 3 means leave immediately, no packing, no waiting. Sign up for your county's emergency alert system today if you haven't already, since relying on word of mouth or social media alone has proven risky as these fires keep shifting direction. Check road closures before you travel, especially around Mount Hood, where Highway 35 has now closed and reopened multiple times in the span of a single week. And if you're in a smoke-affected area, limit outdoor exposure and keep an eye on your local air quality advisory, since poor air quality is expected to persist in some communities for the foreseeable future. This matters most for kids, older adults, and anyone managing a respiratory condition. A firefighter's death honored with lowered flags statewide, the first confirmed homes lost to the Grasshopper Fire, and a brand new fire that forced its own evacuations near Springfield. This remains a genuinely difficult, fast-moving stretch of the Pacific Northwest's worst fire season on record. We'll keep tracking every major fire and bring you the next update as new official data comes in. If this helped, subscribe and turn on notifications, and share this with anyone you know in Oregon or Washington. To every firefighter, dozer operator, and first responder on the lines right now, and in memory of Jason Ensign, thank you. Stay informed, stay ready, and stay safe out there.